Greetings, citizens. I am Sir the Sixth, and welcome to a episode of A Buyer's Guide. We are the Info Runners, and today I'm joined by Mr. Julian Execute, and I'm also joined by Mr. Algared. Welcome, gents. How you been?
Good. How are you guys?
Very well, thank you.
Fair.
And thanks for having us again.
Just just got done with a bunch of engine runs, so happy to be home. Ears ringing still.
Way too serious.
Oh yeah.
Right. The Nautilus. Yeah, I guess we'll talk about it straight off the bat. You kind of were saying before the show, who is this ship for? And I think that's kind of really the question we're kind of here to answer today. A long story short, this ship is really for someone very niche.
Yep.
And you apparently are one of those type of people. So tell us all about that type of person. Why would you want this ship, Sia?
It's because I'm primarily combat logistics guy. So with that being said, that means I'm always working in the background. You'll never see me in the front lines per se. I support them. So this is a support ship
So,
because you
so
are
you're a
using
coward.
mines.
I'm just kidding.
Yes,
You
definitely.
run from the
But
fight. Yeah,
with that being said, since you are deploying mines and mines take a while to deploy and you have to use the use of drones to strategically place them, it's going to take a while, and if you get your drones blown up, that means you're going to be useless at your role, which is deploying mines. So therefore, you need to do this in a location that has no combat or nor active traffic. So then you can create those choke points. So when there's traffic coming through, they will get, I don't know, they'll get rerouted somewhere else. You are to not be seen nor heard. You just hear the boom boom from the results of you doing your job.
yeah. All right, I'm going to start out with my nitpicky stuff on this ship. The first thing that hit me on this, and I know you guys know what I'm going to say, is it looks like an anvil ship. I think that they could have designed it in another way to not look like an anvil ship. Like, I look at it and the first thing I thought was arrow. Like, or, that angular and circular motif that all the anvil ships has. The only thing it's really missing is the circle. And I think this probably would have made a better anvil ship. We need more military anvil ships. We are so far behind. If they're the second biggest
Per lore, they're taking
manufacturer.
over from Aegis.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And they don't have any big ships, but, maybe there's some big ships around the corner. Anyway, we should probably do a show on that. But anyway.
Well, I would assume that since it's a mine layer and since it's an anvil ship, but it's actually really supposed to be an old
You mean
class
it's
ship.
you mean it's ages
Rather,
than an anvil, but I get what you mean.
sorry,
It's all right.
yeah, sorry, ages rather than anvil.
Yep.
And in terms of it looking like an anvil ship, if you look at all the anvil ships, that circular disc or circular shape is really cool. Even the Valkyries kind of has a circular
Yep.
feel, and so that is probably the key feature that CIG say makes a ship anvil.
Yep. The other thing about it is I'm not sold on the really big guns. Like, I know a lot of people went on about the guns, but I think having to turn those guns to come to bear on another ship, I don't see them being used very well on ships the same size as it. And because you've got to turn the ship to get them onto, I just like, maybe a constellation, maybe, but like, I don't know. Like, I think they're a weird placement on a capital ship. What do you guys think?
Well,
With the fact that it's heavily armored to the front. You can clearly see that. So that means the aft section is weak. It's compromised. The big guns, the fact that you have a lot of fire support to the front, and the fact you have 3 large shield generators
Mm-hmm.
means that if you so happen to get caught, you have the means to defend yourself and egress.
Yeah.
But again, you're not the tip of the spear. You're not going to lead the charge unless you just want this to be a sponge. It could be a sponge, but then you better back it up, or else it's gonna go bye soon.
It's like those turrets. Like, if you can even see an image there of that one there where it's on the side. If they'd simply put those turrets up on the wing, then it could have shot forward and backwards, and that would have made all the difference in the world. Like,
Well, we still don't know where the missile turret is, though. That's one thing I have not seen. We
yeah.
don't know where the missile turret is.
I still think they're kind of in that midsection area. And I think it kind of pops up, but we'll see. I'm thinking along the lines of some of the other Aegis ships, but yeah, I think I don't know. What are your drawbacks for this ship, guys?
Well,
I'll agree. You can
going
go.
going on the weapons, this is not a frontline capital ship. It's basically a mine layer minesweeper. And in every navy, they are not the frontline ships. They're the support ships. And you look at a support ship, it doesn't have freaking big guns. It has guns, little pea shooters for self defense, not massive things for killing other big ships. And so I think this is just overgunned for what it's supposed to be doing.
I think it's kind
I
of
don't.
too big for what it's doing, quite honestly.
Mm,
Like a big capital
I
ship that's sitting at the back and kind of. This seems more akin to be, say, a ship that's the size of a constellation to me, and maybe a group of 4, not a team of 8, and it's only for 24 mines. And when we get to the mines, I'm going to start ripping into those because they're the real problem I have with this ship. I think this ship would be fine. I'll talk about it later. Fuck it. Sorry, but yeah, continue, Algared.
Yeah. So I don't see this as being a ship that should have such large firepower. Turrets for self-defense, a smaller gun that can dish out damage, but size 7, that's probably one of the biggest guns we've seen on a ship that size so far. And it just seems the wrong place on a ship that's sitting at the back dropping mines to make choke points or make an area defendable.
If it had been on a turret, though, I could justify it. But again, it's on a position where it's, even if it's gimbaled, you're going to be trying to get to the back of the ship. It's really clear. All the guns are forward facing. You get to the back of it, the ship is screwed. And it's a capital ship. It just can't turn as fast as other
I don't
ships.
even think that it should have that on a turret. I think the size of gun on that is
What I mean is it's wasted. You could put a size 20 there. It wouldn't matter because it can't turn to put it to bear on what it's shooting. That's what I'm trying to say. And I know you're trying to say that it's just too big for the ship, and I agree on that point too. It's I don't know. See, what's your thoughts? Because join the fray here. You probably totally disagree with this.
My thoughts is it is a capital ship, but it is the smallest of a capital ship, being a corvette. So it theoretically should have more maneuverability. We know a ship like the Hammerhead, the only reason why it's maneuverable is because it's a gunship, and they already said you're going to be more agile, so you can put a barrage of bullets to a certain face of the ship. Not saying this is a gunship, it's not at all, but we don't know the maneuverability wise. It would I already know it's going to be slower than a Hammerhead because it's heavily armored, but since it has a lot of armor, I feel like that it should have the ability to be able to face the enemy quicker compared to a lot of other larger class vessels. Obviously, a fighter is going to be able to get around it like easy. It's going to be able to do a ballerina twirl and everything around it. So, I mean, that's just the way I look at it. Again, it's not meant for direct combat. I feel like it can easily defend itself, but it needs if like a Polaris jumps in, you need to get out immediately. You don't want to stay. If like a constellation comes in, you can probably take it on if you are able to outmaneuver it. But again, if you have 3 or 4 or 5 ships come in, it's like, hey, we need to start thinking about packing up and leaving now. Like, stop what we're doing, get out, forget the drone, forget whatever mines we have, go.
It actually, getting back to that fighter thing with the fighter dancing around, it actually makes me think how often they're going to drop the sentry drones just to protect its own butt. You know, like
Yeah,
to have something that's behind it stopping it because of the turret placement, and all the guns are just in silly spots again. This is Corsair 2.0 but bigger and crazier in my opinion, from the turret placement perspective. At least you
and
can
not to
fire
mention
forward unlike the Corsair one. Sorry, but yeah.
And no, and not to mention all the components. I'll just say and outright are all large. So I mean, just like the Hammerhead, the only Corvette with a capital class component, I believe, is the Polaris, and that's only its radar, because it needs to be able to do that long engagement because that's size 10 torpedoes, and it's actually the weakest of all the capital ship. I mean, of all the Corvettes. So it needs to be able to have that distance range so it can give itself buffer. Because if you try to go head on with an Idris, it's just going to point your railgun at you and say, "Get wrecked." So I mean, you
Yeah.
know.
But in terms of the size of a ship being a corvette, that is the ideal size for a mine layer. Right for as long as I can recall, the corvettes were the standard mine layers slash sweepers. You look, and I know people have complained that it shouldn't do both, but you look at modern navies, and that's what they're doing. The ships do both roles; they do the mine sweeping and the mine laying. So I don't see a problem with that aspect. I do
I
see a
don't
problem with
either.
the gun size. I do see a problem of other areas, but yeah.
All right.
All
Is there
right.
any other good or bad things you want to talk about the ship specifically? Because I want to move on to the mines.
No, I think I've covered all my points about the actual ship itself. I mean, Algared, do you have anything to say?
Not that I can recall at the moment. I'll probably remember it later and kick myself.
Yeah, so the mines are 4 meters by 4 meters by 4 meters, which is quite damn large. And I think to break the crux of it down, I actually think what would make a lot of sense for this ship is that there were different, what do they call them? Yields? Different yields of mines. I don't think you should just say, oh, they're equivalent to an S, was it S5?
A size 5 torpedo.
Yes, S size 5 torpedo.
Which is a terrible idea.
It's what
to
the
say it was
it's
the
what the
equivalent to a size
gladiator
5
it's what the gladiator carries. So that's tiny. That's like the
and
tiniest
and the
torpedo.
Harbinger.
Yeah. So
And the
it's
Harbinger too.
it's tiny. And it basically means this ship is not going to ship. It would not stop itself. Like itself could
Yep.
run through its own mines, and it would get through, no problem. This is
What execute is.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was saying what execute for you guys. What he's trying to say is, if you look at the stats, the highest damaging size 5 torpedo is the electromagnetic one, and it does less than 10k damage total. So if you multiply that by 24, you're still doing less than 240,000. No, you're doing about 240,000 damage. It takes like 240,000 plus 8 grand for the total HP of a hammerhead, and you need 4 size 9 cross section torpedoes, size 9 cross section, to take out a hammerhead, and that's well over 250,000 DPS to overwhelm it. So therefore, with the current stats we have with the size 5 conventional mines, not even the sentry drones, you cannot kill a hammerhead, and we're not accounting for the fact that it has armor in the future. There's no armor in present day, so that means the stats can vary as well, because like if you go to Hardpoint Diodes, data mining the current stats. And then the sentry drones, we're not like, they're 2 size 2 weapons. If you put a bunch of shotguns on, not only do you have reduced range, but you're only doing like 43,000 DPS for all 24 mines total going against one ship. So as he was saying, not.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say
With the
stats man down there. But yeah, I had people in the comments when we talked about this last time wanting to compare this ship between it and the Polaris, and I think
Let's do it.
That's the wrong type of comparison. We can do that.
It is.
But I think it really is more compared to the Hammerhead, because the Hammerhead is a fighter killer, and this is clearly a fighter killer, because those mines are so light now that that's all they're going to take out. I could see a Constellation probably,
Yes,
it'd have to
easily
couple of
see a
hits.
Constellation.
I'm wondering whether whether mines will work slightly differently, because they might bypass the shields, and so
True.
impacting the hull directly.
True.
In which case, the damage would be greater. So that could be one thing. But then
technically, they are ballistic, so that is true. That could be a distinct possibility.
If the moving mines, or the homing mine, do that, that's going to increase the damage. But the ones with the pupils,
that would only make sense. It would have to be like that for them to be effective against even bigger ships. Then like you said, it would give them a more sense of purpose, because, I mean, I'll say it right now. I do not, unless you're protecting something of high value in the future, I do not think it's going to be effective to drop all 24 mines in one area, because one, it's going to take a lot of time. We don't know the exact numbers, but time is always a thing in Star Citizen. So, I mean, I would never drop all 24 mines unless like I'm absolutely need to keep that thing safe and I need to go somewhere and be gone for maybe like 3 or 4 days.
But
or you're
bored,
just
a
out
day,
here
just a
wanting
day.
something to do.
But even then, until they put in other yields, man, you're only going to have to rock up in a ship this big to stop it. That's a hammerhead. A hammerhead rocks up and just and shoots them or flies into them. It's not protected. And that's the thing. Like, this is designed to protect, but it's only protecting them from smaller ships. So all you have to do is rock up in a bigger ship and it's not protected. So does that mean there's a bigger mine layer coming? Does that mean there's bigger mines coming? Does that mean
I can see different variants, and I can see maybe bigger mines, but then I feel like if they made like a size 7 mine, they would reduce it by a certain amount. So like same thing with missiles. If you have a certain missile rack and you have a certain missile on it, so if you have 2 size 2 missiles on a size 3 missile rack, you can then put a bigger missile on it, but you only can have one size 3 missile. So I would assume it'd be the same with drones. You have a size 7 mine, you're going to like reduce it by half, so you're going to have 12 mines instead of 24,
I
or
think
something like that.
I could see that as being something that comes along as well, having the ability to have bigger mine, but with less on board.
I would be cool
and
with that. I would be cool with that.
And I think what you've got to remember, this is probably really mine's version 0. You know, it's
Yes,
tier
thank you.
0.
It's tier 0.
This
Thank
ship
you. Absolutely.
reminds me a lot of the Hammerhead in the regard that ship was built for Squadron 42. This clearly feels like it's been Squadron 42 built as well. Think of all the single-player space games you've ever played that have mines in them or some form of turret or something like that you shoot with your spaceship. That's what this ship feels like it's for. It's filled that role in a single-player game where it'll be laying mines or whatever, or you'll be in it removing mines or vice versa or whatever you want to call it. Think of all the combos that you'll have there of every game you've ever played. That's what it feels like. It feels like this has been put in to fill a single-player role. Much as what the Hammerhead did, and half that ship is a waste of space of corridors and stuff, this feels the same.
It is.
But
it feels much the same to me.
But I also think that plays into the manufacturer. Being the old manufacturer, one that supposedly, you know, from the Meta era, it's being replaced and no one's making ships for them and they're trying to diversify into everything else, and yet we keep seeing military ships come from them.
Well, maybe that's what we'll see, Algared. Maybe you've hit the nail on the head there, and we'll see, as an example, the newer military Anvil comes in, and we'll see another mine-laying ship that lays bigger mines, but less of them, as you two just suggested. That could be a possibility. I don't know, just throwing it out there, but feel free to shoot me down.
So to caveat on the mine thing, so ways to get rid of them. I will put that out there because so nobody really has to worry, because a ship like the Terrapin, which is a force recon scanning ship, or any ship really with an enhanced sensor suite, you'll be able to locate the mines. And speaking of detection range and stuff like that, I'm literally talking from my video I'm going to post about this, but I don't care. I'll share it with you guys. Think of this as the skimmer missions. Think of this as the skimmer missions you can do in comm arrays. So when you fly in, you have to find the 3 beacons that you need to destroy. They're incredibly small, so you have to use your ping scanner. And mind you, your ping scanner only tells you there's an object in the area. It doesn't give you any info until you're close enough to detect it with your actual radar system. And then you are within 3,000 meters. So pretend that's a mine. If you're within 3,000 meters, it's going to be flying towards you, and by then it's too late. So this is why you're going to need ships like the Terrapin. It's going to be a joint effort. You have a Terrapin or any ship that can scan it, really. And then you can disable them if you do not have a Nautilus with the Nemo drone, which we can discuss in a minute. If you have a ship and you equip it with an EMP, or you have distortion weapons, you will be able to disable the mines, therefore getting past them. But remember, you're not just going to deploy 1 or 2 mines. You're going to be 3 or 4. So it might be optimal to use a stealth ship because you have lower emissions. And emissions is a 2-way streak. So it's going to be based off the mines components, and it's going to be based on the ship's components. And later in the future, using subcomponents and using stealth class components that are a higher grade to lower your emissions and tweak your ship, so that the mines have a harder time detecting you. So that's what they meant in the Q&A. They didn't really want to explain it out, but I will, because I understand what it means. So it's ship emissions, mine emissions, and components put together, and that will make your detection range along with size and so on. So I don't want to talk forever. I want to let you two talk.
No, that's correct, though.
Be the
I agree
stats
with
guys.
I'm agreeing with everything you're saying because I understood it.
So did I. So
let's go back to, because someone specifically asked for this, Polaris compared to the Nautilus. Now,
let's do it.
My thing, I'm gonna make my idea really short and sweet, is the Polaris is really a capital ship, as in it attacks things above it, and I think this ship, as I said, falls into the same line as the Hammerhead, where it's really attacking things below it.
Its weight class.
Yeah, that's the one. This one, where do you guys see it, like, compared to the Polaris? Then just 30-second pitch or whatever, go bang.
Okay, and then I will say Polaris offensive, Hammerhead both offensive and defensive, Nautilus purely defensive. That's all I'll say. Algared, your turn.
Polaris torpedo boat, as opposed to a torpedo boat destroyer. This thing just a mine layer, defensive. Hammerhead, it sits in the sweet spot.
We are. They are. Yeah, they really are a little bit. Yeah, I can see that actually. They're all feeling slightly different categories, but I would still purchase a Polaris above this ship myself. Would you gents agree with that? I think it's a bit more versatile than this.
In terms of versatility, yes, because you're able to hold a fighter and you have all
Yes.
the capabilities of taking care of that fighter too. The only thing, oops, excuse me. The only thing is that like I'm pretty sure the Polaris offers just a little bit more. And how much does the Polaris cost over the Nautilus?
650 concept, 750 non-war bond.
Okay, so for $25 US doll hairs more, you can own a Polaris over a Nautilus. So I mean, if you wanted to, you could still buy the standalone Nautilus now, and then you can CCU to a Polaris during the anniversary sale or something like that. So you're not spending a lot of money.
Which is not too far away,
Then,
mind you, either.
yeah, it's not. It's
Yeah.
That's
it's
not
around the
necessarily,
corner.
and that's not necessarily a bad idea either.
Yeah.
If you've got the money to burn and you're actually thinking of a hammerhead, or not a hammerhead, the Polaris.
Yeah.
Oh, pardon.
The only issue with the Polaris is remember, ladies and gents, the crew requirements are higher. It's a minimum of 7 for the Polaris. For the Nautilus, it's a minimum of 4 to do the bare minimum functions to be able to deploy mines and keep your ship somewhat safe. Polaris, you're going to need that 7. Also, if I remember correctly, the Polaris doesn't have the VTOL capability, so it's going to be a lot harder for it to be able to land and take off in atmosphere compared to the Nautilus, which has the VTOL capability because we see the nacelles on multiple different pictures. So therefore, it's going to be one of those ships that can traverse between atmosphere and planet side. Don't know why you really need to do planet side when they specifically said that, hey, these mines are going to be mainly for space. So maybe for resupplying purposes, it could have a little bit more flexibility. But in terms of its main job, it's meant for space and space only. Polaris, you can easily do hit and runs in the
I think a
atmosphere.
lot of
Go
those
ahead.
bigger ships like the Polaris and stuff like that won't actually try to go to planet just for fuel costs. They'll try and stay up and go, hey, we're up here in space. Can you send a ship up to like a whole B to give some resupply?
Send up a Vulcan
Yeah.
or a Gemini.
It's
with,
going to be
with
far
the,
cheaper to get resupplied by a small ship or
I
go to a space station than ever go back to land. And I just think that that's what a lot of
Yeah.
you're not going to take.
No, you're correct. You're correct.
As a reclaimer, as an example, why the hell would you take a reclaimer down when you can take a Vulcan down?
because at
Yeah.
the moment, a reclaimer actually uses less fuel.
Not reclaimer, sorry. What's the vulture? That's what I'm saying, the vulture. But my whole point being is you take a ship for what it's appropriate for, and I think we're going to see that come more and more forward.
Yeah.
And the other thing, like one of the big things that you raised in was the crew sizes, and I think as CIG bring out or Cloud Imperium bring out more big ships, I think they kind of seem to be drifting away from the massive ship size, and I think they're realizing that most people aren't going to be working in those massive raid type groups.
I think they will. Is just for ships like the
It's a
Javelin.
this is a
It's like,
defense
holy
ship.
crap.
This is the defense ship. You're not going to want to have many people. It's going to be slow. You're going to be sitting in the background planning mines. Something like a Polaris is going to be way more offensive and in your face and having combat. More people are going to want to be on that to then sitting around planning mines. It's a different play style. So I can see why there's less on this and more on the other.
You look at the Polaris compared to say the Idris or compared to even the Hammerhead, and the crew requirements aren't really that bad. You compare it to, say, Retaliator or even a Constellation. Constellation has a crew of 5. Pilot, 2 gunners, co-pilot, captain.
Theoretically, for the Retaliator, to do its primary function, which is to dump all 6 torpedoes, you only need 1 person. Because the AI blades in the future, you're going to be able to perform. It's a soloable ship if you really want it to be.
It is soloable.
As a bomber.
Same thing with the
another module that's different.
Same thing with the Constellation.
Same thing with the Constellation. You have 2 extra turrets.
I think you've really got to talk about ships at a minimum crew requirement, because that is really where you could technically chuck 12 people into this ship if you wanted to.
But my point is those ships are significantly smaller than the Polaris, and when you look at the crew requirements or minimum crew requirements, it's still significantly less than a ship. Than a larger ship, and I think that's seems to be something that CIG seem to have done. They've drifted away from that really massive ship size, and they've drifted down to ships needing less or being more automated. That's just my perception.
I think I'll have to take Execute side on this one. I feel like for people who are like me, this is the perfect type of Corvette class vessel. But I feel like it's still going to be useful. But like you said, Algrid, people. I'm losing my thought, but yeah, people are going to want to be more offensive sometimes than defensive because not everybody likes sitting on the sidelines like I do. I don't mind. It's my thing. But real quickly, I want to go back to the Polaris. The only reason I would say you would use it in atmosphere is high altitude hit and runs because the Idris can land on a planet. I think if I remember correctly, it does have the VTOL capability. It's just going to be a lot harder. So if that's a sitting duck. If you have a Polaris that's already going at a really higher speed, you are just asking to get to just get destroyed, like
As
straight up.
Chris Roberts said once, when asked whether the Idris landed on a planet, he said, "It better. We needed to land in squad."
32 torpedoes in the Polaris too. You could actually do some nice mission torpedo runs into planet as well with that thing.
It's 32?
It's 32. I was talking to Hayes about it a couple of weeks ago and he corrected us from the other week. 28 in the tubes and another 4 that you can load. 28 in the cargo and 4 that you can load into the tubes. So it can technically hold 32.
Okay.
And I thought it was only 28 myself.
Today.
But yeah, I did too. So it's 32. All right.
Okay.
Let's wrap this up then. Your closing thoughts on the Nautilus, Algared. You go.
If you're a crazy person like me, then you've probably got one. Or if you're a specialist, then you'd probably want one. But if you're just after a capital ship, I'd probably avoid it and probably go Polaris.
Seer. God, my fingers are off today. Seer.
It's all good. So if you're like me and you do combat logistics, or you're also like me who's going to be primarily focused on industry and you have the expendable cash, I would say I recommend getting one because if you so happen to be scanning with somebody and you find a lucrative mining site or a lucrative salvaging site, it might behoove of you to put up a couple mines to try to scare people away so that you can come back on a later date and get the resources. Because if somebody else finds that site too, and you don't leave it defended while you're gone or getting the other stuff, then it might be cat.
I suppose
Just
the other
threw me off
option
with
is
the cat.
the other option is if you do have one, you can always steal other people's mines if you find them, which is the only
Yes,
ship
that
that
is
can do
true.
that at the
Which
moment.
is through the Nemo drone. It also has 64 SU. We didn't talk about that, but so again, the Polaris has more cargo than it. It has a little bit more cargo than the Hammerhead, if I remember correctly, because that's 40 SU. So it just really depends on your play style, honestly. Again, defensive, more flexibility with the Hammerhead being both roles, and then you have your Polaris, which is primarily offensive, but also can be a militia platform and all this other stuff. So I would say get it if you are in a niche. Now I'm done talking. XQ, go
That's
ahead.
a good. My
Enjoyed
closing
it.
thoughts. I don't think it's for everyone. I think those that like that sit back and play gameplay will like this. I think it's kind of expensive for what it is, considering I think a lot of other ships will get more use. That said, though, if not many people have this ship, when it is needed, you will be in high demand. And you'll be able to ask a premium. But where the mines are sitting at the moment,
They need love.
they need some love.
The mines themselves.
Yeah, it's not the ship that's the problem, it's the mines. But if this is the mine layer and the mines suck, then this ship sucks. And that's unfortunately where it sits at the moment. And I think these boys will agree with me. It's the mines, not the ship.
Hopefully it is just tier 0 mines, and we'll see different varieties of other things coming, which will make that better.
Yeah. And they
It
said
does
that in
need
the
love.
they said that in the Q&A, didn't they? They'll up them if they needed upping. So
Yeah, they need love if you want to go against capital ships, but for me, I feel like it's designed for large ships and lower.
Yeah.
And if you are to put up against a capital ship, oh no, they'll lose their escorts and then the ship's by itself, making it exposed. I know.
we got to go. We got to wrap. Yeah, no, we got to wrap up. We're out of time. All right, that's everything. You do it. See you. You do it. You do
Fine.
it. I keep
All
going
right,
at the end.
so I have been Steer the Six. To the top has been Mr. Julian Execute, and right beside me has been Mr. Algared. And if you like this video, make sure you like it. Join us on Discord and have a comment with us. Leave a comment below if you want to tell us something about the Nautilus. Did you buy it? Did you not buy it? Tell us your justification, reasoning, or any other things that you think we left out. We all answer. Well, at least we try to. And if you like what we do, you can further support us on Patreon if you would like. We'll leave that in the description. And with that being said, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
Catch
Take
us.
care.
Guys.